the handing over of the baton between Draghi and Christine Lagarde. You sounded optimistic, Bob, that there's still things that central banks can do. What do you expect Christine Lagarde can pull out the bag in terms of incentivizing Germany to spend anything at all?
So my confidence that the central banks will ultimately end up in these much more innovative operations is not really centered on the ECB being the leader of the pack. The political structure relative to the monetary policy structure is so inconsistent, right? The lack of coordination of political or fiscal makes it really, really hard for the European, for the cooperation that I referred to, the fiscal monetary cooperation in various forms to occur efficiently. I think we'll see it in Japan, much more likely to see it in Japan, and perhaps eventually in the US if we can't make some or generate some structural reform before it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's harder to see in Europe. I do expect some movement toward fiscal, but I'm suspicious that it's going to be a massive change in posture.
James, 30 seconds here. Do you expect a good handing over of the baton? Is Christine Lagarde going to be able to tempt fiscal policy to work?
Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, essentially that seems to be one of the positives of appointing essentially a politician into this role, is that specific problems and challenges that the Eurozone is facing and the ECB is potentially facing maybe are better served by somebody who understands the politics. But essentially, these are still democracies that we're talking about, and we are still talking about sovereign nations. And so Germany needs to reach out to its people and explain to them what the problem is. And in doing so, they're going to have to admit that actually there's been some half-truths which have got them to this point. And that's going to be very difficult for the CDU-CSU, when the AFD is waiting in the wings to the right-hand side, and the SPD has a similar problem with the Greens to the left-hand side. So the political specifics of Germany don't suggest to me that a preemptive fiscal expansion is imminent.